What meeting MSP demand would cost government? The unions want the Modi government to enact legislation conferring mandatory status to MSP rather than just being an indicative or desired price. Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar has said that the centre would table the bill to repeat its three contentious farm laws on the very first day of the Parliament's winter session starting November 29. This follows the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's November 19 announcement to roll back the agriculture reform laws against which farmers mainly from Punjab, Haryana and western Uttar Pradesh have been protesting in Delhi's border for over a year. Now that the three laws are set to be withdrawn, pressure is mounting on the Modi government to implement the other no less vociferous demand by the farm union, providing legal guarantee for the minimum support price of crops. Harish Damodaran explains the implications, fiscal and otherwise, of meeting this demand. Why are the unions seeking legal guarantee for MSP? The center currently announces the MSP of 23 crops. These include 7 cereals: paddy, wheat, maize, bajra, jawar, ragi and barley; 5 pulses: chana, tur, arar, moong, urad and masoor; 7 oilseeds: rapeseed, mustard, groundnut, soybean, sunflower, sesamum, safflower and Niger seed; and 4 commercial crops: sugarcane crop, cotton, copra and raw jute. While the MSP technically ensures a minimum 50% return on all cultivation costs, they are largely on paper. In most crops growing across much of India, the prices received by farmers, especially during harvest time, are well below the officially declared MSP. And since MSPs have no statutory backing, they cannot demand this as a matter of right. The unions want the Modi government to enact legislations conferring mandatory status to MSP rather than just being an indicative or desired price. How, how can the entitlement be implemented? There are basically three ways. The first is by forcing private traders or processors to pay MSP. This is already applicable in sugarcane. Sugar mills are required by law to pay farmers the center's fair and remunerative price for cane, with some state governments fixing even higher so-called advised price. The Sugarcane Control Order 1966, issued under the Essential Commodity Act, moreover obliges payment of this legally guaranteed price within 14 days of cane purchase. During the 2020-21 sugar year, October-September, mills crushed some 298 million tons of cane, which the accompanying table shows was close to the three-fourths of the country's estimated total production of 399 metric ton. The second is by government undertaking procurement at MSP through its agencies such as the Food Corporation of India, National Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Federation of India, and Cotton Corporation of India. As can be seen from the table, such purchases accounted for nearly 50% of India's rice paddy production last year, while amounting to 40% for wheat and over 25% in cotton. Government agencies also bought significant quantities, upwards of zero point 0.1 metric ton of chana, mustard, groundnut, tur and moong during 2019-20. Much of that was the post-COVID-induced nationwide lockdown in April-June 2020, while the winter-spring rabi crops were being marketed by farmers. Procurement of these crops, however, fell in 2020-21. In the case of mustard, tur, moong, masoor, yellow, lentil and soybean, the need for procurement wasn't really felt as most market prices largely ruled above MSPs. Generally speaking, MSP implementation has been effective only in 4 crops: sugarcane, paddy, wheat and cotton, partly so in 5: chana, mustard, groundnut, tur and moong, and weak non-existence in the remaining 14 notified crops. In livestock and horticulture produce, be it milk, eggs, onions, potatoes or apples, there is no MSP even on paper. The 23 MSP crops together in turn account for hardly a third of the total value of India's agricultural output, excluding forestry and fishing. The third route for guaranteeing MSP via price deficiency payments. Under its government neither directly purchases nor forces the private industry to pay MSP. Instead, it allows all sales by farmers to take place at the prevailing market prices. Farmers are simply paid the difference between the government's MSP and average market price for a particular crop during the harvesting season. What would be the fiscal cost of making MSP legally binding? The MSP value of the total output of all the 23 notified crops worked out to about rupees 11.9 lakh crore in 2020-21. But this entire produce wouldn't have got marketed. The marketed surplus ratio, what remains after retention by farmers for self-consumption, seed and feeding of animals, is estimated to range from below 50% for ragi and 65 to 70% for bajra, pearl millet and jawar sorghum to 75 to 85% for wheat, paddy and sugarcane, 90% plus for most pulses and 95 to 100% for cotton, soybean, sunflower and jute. Taking an average of 75% yields a number, the MSP value of production actually sold by farmers just under rupees 9 lakh crore. The government is further, as it is procuring many crops, the MSP value of 89.42 metric ton of paddy and 43.34 metric ton of wheat alone bought during 2020-21 was around 253.275 crore. To this one must add MSP value of pulses and oilseeds purchased by NAFED and rupees 4,948 crore in 2020-21 and Kapas or raw ungained cotton by CCI 28,420 crore in 2019-20 and 26,245 crore in 2020-21. Besides the MSP value of sugarcane crushed by mills, rupees 92,000 crore in 2020-21 has to be considered. All in all, the MSP is already being enforced directly or through fiat on roughly rupees 3.8 lakh crore worth of produce, providing legal guarantee for the entire marketable surplus of the 23 MSP crops would mean covering another 5 lakh crore or so. It would be even lower given to two things. The crop that is brought by the government also gets sold, with the revenues from the partly offsetting the expenditure from MSP procurement. Secondly, government agencies need not buy every single grain coming into the mandis. Mopping up even a quarter of market arrival is often enough to lift prices above MSP in most crops. But there must be a catch to all this calculation. Yes, FCI's grain mountain is evidence of how cumbersome public procurement and stocking operations can be. This is not to mention the huge scope for corruption and recycling leakages of wheat and rice, whether from godowns, ration shops, or in transit. Also, while cereals and pulses can be sold through public distribution system, disposals become complicated in the case of Niger seed, sesamum, or safflower. But even when it comes to sugarcane, the experience of mills accumulating huge payments arrears to growers is proof of the practical limitations of legal MSP. That leaves deficiency payments, which may be a more workable and fiscally feasible option in the long run. There is addition a growing consensus among economists for guaranteeing minimum incomes as against prices to farmers that would essentially entail making more direct cash transfers either on flat per acre in the Telangana government's Raitu Bandhu scheme or per farm household the center's PM Kisan basis. Thank you.